Chapter 1. The night of betrayal. The moon was too bright that night. Almost cruel. It hung above the forest like an unblinking eye, watching, judging, as if it already knew what was about to happen. I stood at the edge of the clearing, heart pounding so hard it hurt. The air smelled of pine, rain, and him. Every instinct in me whispered that this night would change everything. I just didn't know it would destroy me first. I'd spent all day preparing for this, the night my mate would finally announce me as his Luna. I wore the silver dress he said he loved, brushed my hair the way he liked, and carried the mark on my neck with pride. That mark, his mark, was supposed to mean forever. But as I stepped closer to the clearing, the laughter hit me first. Soft, familiar, wrong. It froze me mid-step. Through the trees, I saw them, two figures bathed in moonlight. His hands tangled in her hair, her body pressed against his, and the sound of his voice, whispering the same words he once told me. For a moment, I thought my eyes were lying, that it was some illusion, a cruel trick played by the night. But it wasn't. It was him, the man I was born to love, the man the moon goddess chose for me, and the woman he held was my sister. My throat tightened, the air left my lungs. My wolf whimpered deep inside, clawing at my chest. I wanted to run to him, to demand an explanation, but my legs wouldn't move. He turned. His eyes, once filled with warmth, met mine. And for the first time, I saw nothing. No love, no regret, no pain, just cold, heartless indifference. "Arya," he said, my name falling from his lips like it meant nothing. "You shouldn't be here." I flinched. His voice was calm, controlled, like I was an inconvenience, not the woman who carried his mark, not the mate the goddess gave him. "Why?" That single word came out broken, trembling. "Why her?" He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled my sister closer, his fingers tracing her jaw as if to remind me of what I'd lost. The smirk that curved his lips sliced through me like a blade. "She's stronger," he said finally. "More fit to be my Luna." My heart cracked, once, twice, until I couldn't feel anything but the hollow ache in my chest. The air around me shifted. My wolf howled inside, begging me to fight, to make him see reason. But then, he spoke again. The words that ended me. "I, Alpha Kale of the Bloodfang Pack, reject you, Arya of Silvercrest, as my mate and Luna." The moment he said it, I felt it. A searing pain shot through my chest, through my soul. The bond that once tied us together ripped apart like burning thread. I fell to my knees, gasping, as the mark on my neck burned, turning from silver to black. He didn't he didn't help. He just watched me writhe in the dirt. My sister looked down at me, pity flickering in her eyes, but only for a second. Then she smirked too. The pack members around them whispered. Some turned away, some smirked. No one dared to intervene. Rejection. Public. Brutal. Final. And me, the fool who thought love meant loyalty, was nothing more than a broken memory under the moon. Tears blurred my vision. I forced myself to stand, legs trembling, heart shattered. I wanted to scream, to tell him he'd regret this, but the words choked in my throat. He walked away, just like that, turning his back on everything we were supposed to be. The night swallowed his silhouette, but the pain didn't fade. It only grew sharper. He'd marked another, and that bond, once sacred, now felt like poison in my veins. I stumbled through the forest, clutching my chest, trying to breathe. The shadows whispered my name. My wolf whimpered, weak and wounded. Every step hurt more than the last. When I finally stopped, I was far from the packlands. The wind howled through the trees, carrying faint echoes of laughter from the place I once called home. I collapsed near the river, staring at my reflection in the dark water. My eyes looked different. Dim, lost. The glow that marked me as a Luna was fading. "I'll never forgive you," I whispered. The sound of my own voice shattered me more than his betrayal did. A branch cracked behind me. I froze. The forest was silent again, too silent. Even the crickets had stopped singing. I turned slowly and saw him. Not Kale. Someone else. A man, tall, broad-shouldered, his presence almost blending into the night. Golden eyes glowed faintly through the darkness. The air around him pulsed with power, heavy, ancient, dangerous. He stepped forward, his voice low, rough, almost animal. "You shouldn't be here, little wolf." Something about the way he said it made the hair on my arms rise. He wasn't from my pack. His scent was foreign, deep forest, smoke, rain. Wild, untamed. I took a step back, but my body was too weak. He caught my wrist before I could fall. His grip was firm but not cruel. "What do you want?" I rasped, struggling to stand. He tilted his head slightly, eyes scanning the fading mark on my neck. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "You were rejected." It wasn't a question. He said it like he already knew. I tore my hand free, glaring at him through tears. "How do you know that?" "Because," he murmured, stepping closer until I could feel the heat of his breath, "I can smell heartbreak, and yours reeks of betrayal." My chest tightened. Anger flared beneath the pain. "Stay away from me." He didn't move, didn't speak, just watched me, silent, assessing, like He could see straight into my soul. Finally, he said quietly, "You won't survive the night if you keep wandering like this." "I don't need your help," I snapped, though my knees were shaking. He raised an eyebrow, almost amused. "Of course you don't." Then he turned and vanished into the trees, the shadows swallowing him whole. No sound, no scent, just gone. But before disappearing completely, his voice drifted back to me, low and haunting. "When you're ready to stop dying for someone who doesn't deserve you, follow the northern wind." And then he was gone. The forest grew quiet again, but his words lingered, echoing in my mind long after the sound faded. Follow the northern wind. I looked up at the moon, still bright, still cruel, and whispered to the night, "I don't even know who I am anymore." My wolf whimpered softly, almost like she was answering me. "You're still you," she whispered inside my mind. "But you're no longer his." The tears came again, hot, relentless, but somewhere beneath them, something shifted. Not forgiveness, not strength, something colder. Resolve. I wrapped my arms around myself, staring into the forest where that stranger had disappeared. Whoever he was, he'd seen something in me that I'd forgotten existed. And as the night bled into dawn, I made a silent promise. I would never be that weak again. I would never beg, never break for anyone, not even an alpha. Kale thought rejection would end me. He was wrong. It would awaken me, and the next time our paths crossed, he'd wish he'd never let me go. Because the Luna he broke would return as something far more powerful. And under the watching moon, I whispered one final vow. "You'll regret the night you claimed my heart, and gave it to someone else." Chapter 2. Marked and rejected. The forest was a blur around me, but every sound was sharper, every shadow alive. My hands shook as I wiped the dirt and tears from my face, but the burning mark on my neck refused to fade. Silver had turned black, a symbol of everything I had lost in a single, brutal night. I stumbled along the narrow path that led away from the clearing. My legs ached, my lungs burned, and yet, some part of me kept moving forward, driven by anger, humiliation, and the faintest flicker of survival. The pack had watched me crumble. They had chosen silence over loyalty. I could feel their judgment behind me, even as I fled into the darkness. Every snap of a twig sounded like mocking laughter. Every rustle of leaves reminded me of Kale's smirk. And every shadow I passed seemed to whisper, "You are alone." I was alone. The weight of rejection was suffocating. He had not only taken the bond we shared and destroyed it, but he had taken my place in the pack, my dignity, my identity as Luna. I had been chosen once, marked once, and now discarded as if I were nothing. I sank to the ground near a cluster of ancient trees. The roots tangled around my fingers, grounding me, but also reminding me of how small I felt. I pressed my face into the moss, letting my tears soak the forest floor. The cold earth against my skin was the only comfort I could find. I tried to remember the moments before the betrayal. The times Kale had looked at me with warmth. The way his voice had promised safety, forever. But now, each memory felt like a knife twisting in my chest. I shivered, not from the cold, but from rage. I wasn't just sad, I was furious. How dare he? How dare he claim me as his Luna and then discard me like I was some mistake? And my sister? My sister had taken what was mine without hesitation. I clenched my fists until my nails cut into my palms. My wolf growled deep inside, a sound that shook the air around me. We weren't safe, not here, not anywhere near them. I had to move. The pack lands were no longer mine. Kale's gaze haunted me even now, the cold rejection lingering like ice in my veins. I was a ghost in my own home, a shadow that once belonged to the light. The wind whispered through the branches, carrying the scent of danger. Hunters, perhaps. Or other packs drawn to the unrest. My heartbeat quickened. I couldn't afford to collapse here, not yet. I forced myself to my feet, staggering forward, guided by instinct more than reason. My wolf whispered caution. Run, hide, survive. I obeyed. Hours passed, or was it minutes? Time lost meaning in the darkness. The moon watched silently, indifferent to my suffering. Every step took me further from the pack, further from Kale, further from the life I had known. Eventually, I reached a clearing I hadn't seen before. A small stream cut through the earth, its water reflecting the moonlight. I fell to my knees beside it, cupping the icy water to my face. The reflection that stared back at me was not the same Arya I had been that morning. Her eyes were hollow, rimmed with red. Her body trembled. And yet, beneath the pain, something burned. I didn't know if it was hope or rage. Probably both. I let the water run over my face, cooling the sting of tears and blood, trying to wash away the remnants of the night. But the mark on my neck pulsed, a constant reminder that Kale had chosen someone else. Someone else had become my Luna's replacement while I had been left to rot in humiliation. And yet, even in that moment of despair, I realized something crucial. I was still alive. The bond had been broken, yes. But my wolf still breathed. My heart still beat. And my mind still throbbed with fury and determination. I pulled myself away from the stream and walked deeper into the forest, every branch and root scraping against my skin, leaving a trail of blood. Pain was nothing compared to the burning fire of rejection and betrayal. The night stretched on. Shadows danced in the corners of my vision. I could feel eyes on me, unseen, watching. Fear and instinct warred inside me, but I pressed on, always forward, never back. Eventually, I reached a narrow ridge overlooking a valley bathed in moonlight. For the first time since the betrayal, I paused. I let myself breathe. I let myself think. Kale had taken my place. The pack had turned their backs on me. But I had survived. I clenched my jaw and pressed my fingers against the black mark on my neck. It pulsed like a heartbeat, reminding me of what I had lost, and what I still had inside me. I would not die here in the shadows. I would not allow myself to be consumed by despair. Kale thought he had destroyed me, that he had won. But the truth was, he had only awakened something. I would rise. I would become more than he ever imagined. And when the time came, he would regret the night he broke my heart. I stumbled again, deeper into the forest, guided by the faint light of the stars and the whispers of my wolf. Hours passed. Cold seeped into my bones. Hunger gnawed at me. Exhaustion pressed down like a weight too heavy to lift. But still, I moved forward. And then, I felt it, a presence, not Kale's, stronger, different, and undeniably, watching. Something in the air shifted, charged with power I had never felt before. My wolf stirred, alert, growling softly in my mind. I froze, every nerve on edge. The forest was silent, but the energy hummed, like the earth itself was aware of the stranger. Then I heard it, a low, steady growl. Deep, ancient, dangerous. Eyes met mine through the trees. Golden, piercing, knowing, and for the first time since Kale's betrayal, I felt seen. Not as a broken Luna. Not as a pawn discarded by her mate. But as something more, something alive. The stranger stepped forward, slowly, deliberately, every movement controlled, predatory, yet not threatening, at least not yet. "You shouldn't be out here," he said, voice low and gravelly, echoing with power and authority. "You're not safe. Not from them, not from yourself." I opened my mouth to speak, but the words died on my tongue. I couldn't tell him my story. I couldn't reveal my weakness. So I only glared, defiance burning inside me. "I'll survive," I whispered. "Even without him, even without anyone." The stranger tilted his head, eyes never leaving mine. "Survival is not enough," he said. "You need strength, power, and you have neither, not yet." I flinched, but something about his words rang true. I had survived, yes, but the pain, the rejection, the emptiness, it had left me hollow. Hollow, yes, but ready. Ready to grow, ready to fight, ready to reclaim what was stolen. The stranger disappeared as suddenly as he had appeared, leaving only a whisper in the wind. "Follow the northern wind." The words sank into my bones, carrying a promise I didn't yet understand. I didn't know who the stranger was, or if I'd see him again. But I knew one thing with certainty: he had set me on a path. A path that would lead me away from the shadows of Kale's betrayal, and towards something greater. I took a deep breath, pressed my hands to the cold earth, and whispered to the moon, "I will survive. I will rise. I will never be yours again." And for the first time since the night of betrayal, a small spark of hope flickered in the darkness. Chapter 3. The run through the shadows. Darkness swallowed me whole, and for the first time, I realized how fragile I really was. The forest no longer felt like a refuge. It had become a maze, every twisted root and broken branch a trap waiting to ensnare me. My lungs burned as I ran, feet barely finding grip on the uneven ground. Every sound, the snap of a twig, the rustle of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, made my heart leap. I couldn't stop. Stopping meant death. Stopping meant the memories would catch up to me, and I wasn't ready to face them yet. The night of betrayal still throbbed in my mind, relentless, unyielding. Kale's voice, cold and indifferent, echoed in my ears. "She's stronger, more fit to be my Luna." I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw myself at him, to claw at his chest and demand he see me. But my legs moved without permission, carrying me farther away from the life I had known, from the pack I had once loved, from the man who had broken me. The forest closed in, the trees stretching like dark giants over the narrow path. I stumbled over a root and fell hard, scraping my hands and knees against the earth. Pain flared sharply, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. A low growl sounded behind me. Not Kale's. Not human. I froze, every hair on my body standing on end. The growl grew louder, closer. My wolf rose inside me, wild, hungry, terrified. Instinct screamed to run, but I was already running. I pushed myself up and bolted, breath ragged, chest tight. Branches whipped my face. Thorns tore through my clothes. I didn't care. The growl followed, unrelenting. Whatever it was, it knew I was weak. It could smell it. It could taste fear. I glanced back. Eyes, glowing faintly red, flickered through the shadows. I couldn't make out the shape, but I knew it was fast. Too fast. Panic clawed at my chest. I turned into a narrower path, hoping the dense trees would hide me, but the creature moved with unnatural precision, always one step behind. I stumbled. Again, cursing, tearing my hand open on a jagged rock. Blood trickled down, warm and sticky. My wolf whimpered. The forest seemed endless, but I kept moving. I had to survive. I had to live. I couldn't let this night end me. My mind raced, recalling every survival technique my father had once taught me. Move silently. Listen. Hide. Fight only if necessary. Fight. I swallowed the word. The thought of fighting terrified me, but my wolf agreed. Fight if you must. A branch snapped nearby. I dove behind a thick tree, holding my breath. The eyes passed, then disappeared into the shadows. For a moment, relief washed over me. But I knew it wouldn't last. Whatever hunted me wasn't done. I forced myself to keep moving, deeper into the forest, where the moonlight barely touched the ground. Branches scraped my arms, roots tore at my ankles, but the fear kept me nimble. Every heartbeat was a drum in my chest, every breath a challenge. I could almost feel the creature watching, waiting for me to falter. Hours seemed to pass in what felt like minutes. I stumbled upon a small stream and drank greedily, letting the icy water wash over my face. I needed to think, to breathe, to plan, but the forest wasn't empty. I sensed it before I saw it. Movement in the trees, faint, deliberate. Not the creature, not yet. Someone else. Golden eyes appeared, watching me from the shadows. The stranger from the previous night. The one who had spoken of survival and power. He stepped closer, silent, predatory, yet not threatening. You shouldn't be out here, he said, voice low, echoing in the stillness. You're not ready for what hunts you. I swallowed hard, trying to hide the tremor in my voice. I can handle myself, I said, though I wasn't sure I believed it. He studied me, eyes sharp, scanning the wounds on my hands, the blood on my legs, the exhaustion etched on my face. You've survived this long, he said. Only because you have something inside you, something most lose when broken. I looked away, embarrassed. I wasn't strong. Not really. I'm just running, I admitted. I don't know what I'm doing. He shook his head. No, you know exactly what you're doing. You're running from pain, from betrayal, from weakness. That's survival, but it's not enough. If you want to live, you need more. I wanted to ask what he meant, but there was no time. The growl returned, louder, angrier, closer. I turned and ran again, adrenaline surging. The stranger followed, not matching my pace, just observing, like he knew something I didn't. I dodged fallen logs, leapt over streams, scrambled up slopes. Fear drove me, pain fueled me, and determination kept me moving when my legs wanted to give out. Then, the creature lunged. A blur of fur, teeth, and deadly precision. On. I screamed and dove to the side, rolling onto the forest floor. The creature's jaws snapped shut inches from my arm. My wolf howled inside me, wild, furious, and I felt an unfamiliar surge of power. I scrambled to my feet. The creature circled, testing me. And then I remembered the stranger's words. You need strength, power, and you have neither, not yet. I closed my eyes, breathing deeply, letting the wolf guide me. Instinct and survival surged through me like fire. I dodged again, twisted, and kicked a jagged branch into the creature's side. It yelped, surprised, giving me just enough time to bolt past it. The stranger's voice echoed through the trees. Don't waste energy fighting blindly. Use your mind, your wolf, anything but fear. I pushed forward, faster, sharper, more aware. Each step measured, each breath controlled. The creature lunged again, but this time I was ready. I ducked under its claws, grabbed a heavy branch, and swung with all my strength. It recoiled, snarling, and I ran past it, the moonlight guiding me. Hours later, I collapsed near a cliff edge, trembling, bloodied, exhausted. The forest behind me was silent. No growls, no danger, no sound but my ragged breathing. The stranger appeared beside me. You survived, he said. Not a question, a statement. You've survived the night when most would have died. I looked at him, chest heaving, tears streaked down my face. I don't know how, I admitted. He knelt, close enough that I could feel his presence, but not close enough to threaten. "That was only the beginning," he said. "Survival alone will not be enough to reclaim what's yours. Not against him, not against them, not against the world that seeks to break you." I swallowed hard, shivering, trying to make sense of his words. "Who are you?" I whispered. He didn't answer, only stared at me, golden eyes intense, unreadable. Then he turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving only the echo of his final words. "Follow the northern wind. Only there will you find what you need to survive, and to rise." I stayed there for hours, staring at the empty forest. My wolf curled inside me, exhausted but alert. I had survived the run through the shadows. I had faced death, fear, and the unknown, and lived. And for the first time, I realized something crucial. I wasn't the same weak girl who had been discarded by Kale. Something inside me had changed. Something stronger, sharper, and unbroken. I was still hurt. I was still bleeding. I was still scared. But I was alive. And alive meant I could fight. And one day, Kale would regret ever breaking my heart. Chapter 4. The stranger in the dark. The forest was quiet now, almost too quiet. The adrenaline that had fueled my flight through the shadows was fading, leaving my muscles trembling and my mind racing. Every sound, the whisper of leaves, the distant call of an owl, made me jump, my wolf tense and restless inside me. I had no plan, no direction, only one goal. Survive the night, survive the pain, survive the memory of Kale. But deep down, I knew survival wasn't enough. I stumbled through a thicket, my legs covered in cuts and bruises, my hands shaking from exhaustion. Moonlight spilled across a small clearing, illuminating a figure standing motionless in the shadows. Golden eyes glowed faintly. The stranger. My heart lurched. I froze, fear clawing at me. But unlike before, I did not feel helpless. Something about him was different. He didn't exude threat, not entirely, yet power radiated from him like heat from a fire. Dangerous, wild, and untamed. "You made it this far," he said softly, voice like gravel rolling over stone. "You're still alive." I swallowed hard, trying to steady my shaking voice. I had no choice," I whispered. "Something was chasing me. I just ran." He nodded, slow and deliberate, as though he already understood more than I had said. "You are strong," he said. "Stronger than most who are broken as you are. But you cannot rely on running forever." His words cut through the fear inside me, sharper than any blade. I wanted to argue, to tell him I was nothing but a girl discarded by her mate. But there was no room for weakness here. Not if I wanted to survive. He stepped closer, the golden glow of his eyes catching the moonlight. "Do you understand why they abandoned you?" he asked quietly. I flinched. "How could I?" I whispered. They don't know me. They never did." His gaze didn't waver. "They do not know the strength that lies within you. The power you are yet to claim. But they will. One day, they will see the wolf that lives in your blood, and they will regret everything they did to you." I shivered, both from cold and the weight of his words. Somehow, they gave me courage. A tiny flicker of hope. Hope that I could rise again, that I could take back what had been stolen. He studied me carefully, head tilted, as if measuring the depth of my pain, the fire in my eyes. "You are raw, untrained, and vulnerable. But you survived the forest, the hunt, the shadows, all alone. That means something." I swallowed hard, unsure what to say. Nothing I could speak would show the truth of my broken heart, the rage that simmered beneath it, or the fear that still threatened to consume me. "Why are you helping me?" I asked finally. "Why care about someone abandoned by their own pack?" A shadow passed over his face, though the moon revealed the sharp lines of a strong jaw, the intensity of his eyes. "I do not help for gratitude," he said. "I help Becca. I see potential. Because you could become more than even Kale imagines. And because if you fall here, the world will lose something far greater than pain." I stared at him, confusion and suspicion mixing with something else, fascination, perhaps. I had learned not to trust easily, yet something about him. I couldn't turn away. "Who are you?" I whispered. "An alpha? A stranger from another pack?" He chuckled softly, a low, dark sound that seemed to vibrate through the clearing. "Call me what you wish. Titles do not matter. Only survival, power, and control matter." His gaze pierced through me, and for the first time in days, I felt seen. Truly seen. Not as a discarded Luna. Not as a wounded girl. But as a wolf. "You survived the night," he repeated, stepping back slightly. "But the next test is different. It will not come from the forest. It will not come from Kale or anyone you know. It will come from inside you." I frowned, trying to understand his words. "What, inside me?" I asked. He smiled faintly, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Your strength. Your wolf. The fire that lies dormant in your blood. You must awaken it if you wish to survive what is coming. If you do not, you will be consumed." I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of his words press down on me. Awaken my wolf. I had never felt more unsure, yet more alive. He stepped back further, blending into the shadows like he had never been there. "Rest," he said, voice soft but firm. "The night is not over. But dawn will bring you clarity. Follow the northern wind. There you will find guidance, training, and perhaps, your chance at revenge." I watched him disappear, heart hammering in my chest. The forest felt different now, less threatening, yet charged with possibility. I didn't understand everything he had said. I didn't know who he truly was, or if he was friend or foe. But I knew one thing with certainty. I had survived the shadows, and now, I would survive the night. I sank to the forest floor, exhausted, letting my wolf curl inside me. Pain, fear, and sorrow still lingered, but beneath it all, a spark of fire ignited. The kind of fire that demanded action, strength, and survival. I pressed my hands to the earth, feeling it solid beneath me, grounding me, reminding me that I was alive. Kale had discarded me, the pack had abandoned me, and my sister, she had claimed what was mine. But none of that mattered anymore. Not if I could become stronger. Not if I could awaken the wolf inside me. I closed my eyes, listening to the forest, to the whispers of wind through the trees, to the quiet pulse of life around me. Somewhere out there, the northern wind would guide me. Somewhere out there, my journey would truly begin. And when it did, Kale would realize the mistake he had made. The night stretched on, long and quiet. But I was no longer afraid. I was ready. Chapter 5. A pack without a Luna. The forest had become my only home. I had stopped counting the nights since Kale had abandoned me, since the betrayal had shattered everything I believed in. Time moved differently here, measured only by the rising and falling of the moon, by the wind whispering through the branches, and by the steady rhythm of my wolf's heartbeat inside me. The stranger's words haunted me. Follow the northern wind. Awaken your wolf. I had no idea what they meant, but something inside me stirred whenever I thought of them. Strength, power, survival, something I had never known before. It wasn't easy. The forest offered no comfort. The streams were icy, the ground hard, and the nights were long and silent. I scavenged for food, drank from the streams, and slept beneath the roots of giant trees, wrapped in my wolf's presence. Alone, I learned to listen. Not just to the sounds of the forest, but to my own instincts. Every sound became a warning. Every shadow a lesson. I learned to move silently, to sense predators before they sensed me. I learned that fear was a tool, not an enemy. And most importantly, I learned that strength began from within. Days blurred into nights, nights into days. And then, one morning, I saw movement on the ridge above me. A small pack of wolves, clearly organized, clearly led by a powerful alpha. They were strong, disciplined, and fierce. And they were without a Luna. I watched from the shadows, hidden by leaves and shadows, my heart pounding in my chest. This was a pack unlike Kale's bloodfangs. They were noble, proud, but something was missing. The Luna. I realized then that I had found my opportunity. To learn, to grow, to rise again. I stepped forward cautiously, making my presence known without revealing weakness. The wolves stiffened, growls low in their throats. Then the Alpha appeared. Tall, broad, his fur a mixture of gray and silver, eyes sharp and calculating. "You are far from home, little wolf," he said, voice deep and commanding. "You do not belong here." I mean no harm," I said, voice trembling slightly, though my wolf snarled in warning. "I am alone. I need guidance, survival, perhaps even a chance to prove myself." The Alpha studied me for a long moment, head tilted, eyes scanning my form, noting every cut, every bruise, every flicker of fire in my gaze. "You carry yourself like one broken, but not defeated," he said finally. "And yet, broken you are. Tell me, why should I allow you into my pack?" I swallowed hard, chest tight, but spoke the truth. "Because I can learn. Because I have survived what most could not. Because I am no one's Luna now, but I could become someone. Powerful, and perhaps, one day, an asset to your pack." He tilted his head, considering my words. "Survival alone is not enough," he said. "You must demonstrate loyalty, courage, and cunning. Only then will you find your place." I nodded, understanding more than the words themselves. This was not just a chance at refuge. This was a test. Over the following days, I learned their ways. Every hunt, every patrol, every challenge of strength and endurance was grueling. I ran with the wolves, matched their speed, felt the wind in my fur, learned the weight of leadership even in small decisions. I learned that a pack without a Luna was unstable, that discipline alone could not sustain them. And in me, their need found direction, and my wolf found purpose. Yet, despite the physical challenges, the hardest battles were within. Every night, when I lay beneath the roots of trees, I faced Kale in my mind. I relived his betrayal, his smirk, the laughter I could never unhear. The hurt, the humiliation, the anger, it burned inside me, refusing to die. But now, instead of breaking me, it fueled me. Every tear, every scream, every silent howl in the night became fire in my veins. I remembered the stranger's words, "Awaken your wolf." I tried. At first, it was subtle. A surge of awareness in my senses. A sharper sense of smell, a quicker reaction to danger. Then came the strength, small, almost imperceptible at first. I could leap farther, run faster, move silently without effort. My wolf was responding. The Alpha watched me closely, often remaining silent, assessing, guiding. He did not coddle me. He did not offer sympathy. And yet, somehow, his presence was comforting. Not comforting in the warmth of kindness. No, it was the comfort of certainty. Of knowing someone recognized your potential even before you did. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in reds and golds, the Alpha approached me. "You are learning," he said. "But strength alone will not carry you far. The mind, the will, the spirit, they are the weapons you must master before the body." I nodded, unsure how to respond. My wolf stirred inside me, listening, learning, absorbing every word, every nuance. "Tonight," he continued, "you will face your first test of instinct and courage. Alone. Alone." The word made my chest tighten, yet it also sparked something I hadn't felt in weeks, anticipation. He led me to the edge of the pack's territory, to a canyon shrouded in mist. "This canyon holds creatures you have never faced," he said, eyes narrowing. "They will test your courage, your patience, your skill. Survive the night, and you will have proven yourself." I swallowed hard. The canyon yawned below me, shadows moving in shapes I could not identify. The wind carried unfamiliar scents, predators, prey, danger. And somewhere beneath it all, the faint scent of the northern wind, the path the stranger had told me to follow. I took a deep breath. The forest, the pack, Kale, my past, all of it seemed to fade for a moment. All that remained was the canyon, the night, and the wolf inside me, waiting to rise. Tonight, I whispered to myself, voice low but steady, I survive. Tonight, I rise. And with that, I stepped forward into the shadows, the canyon swallowing me, the unknown testing every fiber of my being. The night had begun, and I was no longer the broken Luna discarded by Kale. I was Arya, and the wolf inside me had awakened. Chapter 6. Whispers of the Blood Moon. The night air was thick, heavy with an energy I couldn't name. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it scents both familiar and foreign. I paused at the edge of the pack's territory, chest heaving, muscles trembling from the climb up the canyon and the hours of training that had pushed me to my limits. The Alpha had warned me, tonight, the blood moon rises. Its whispers will test you. I hadn't known what to expect. A ritual? A predator? A vision? All I knew was that instinct told me to be alert. Every shadow could hide danger, every sound could signal death. The forest around me seemed to shift, almost alive. Leaves fluttered, even in the absence of wind. Shadows danced on tree trunks, forming shapes that were just out of reach of recognition. I clenched my fists, feeling the wolf stir inside me, sensing the subtle currents of magic in the air. Then I heard it, a voice, soft, low, almost a whisper carried on the wind. Arya? I froze, heart hammering. The voice was neither male nor female, yet it carried authority, warmth, and warning all at once. Who's there? I whispered. The wind responded, carrying fragments of words, images, feelings, memories not my own. A wolf running, powerful and free. A mate standing at a cliff, hand outstretched. A moon, red, glowing, bloodied, hanging above a forest engulfed in shadow. The voice continued, urgent yet calm. You carry the mark of Kale, but your path is not his. The blood moon rises, and it sees the truth. Rise, little Luna, your wolf awaits. My chest tightened. My wolf growled low inside me, senses flaring. I pressed my hands to the earth, trying to ground myself, but the visions persisted, flowing into my mind like water, unstoppable. I saw Kale, but not as he was. He was shadowed, dark, distant, a figure of command and pride. Beside him stood my sister, laughing, triumphant, claiming the bond that was never hers. And above them, the blood moon loomed, casting crimson light on everything, exposing what was hidden and revealing what was tea. Rue. A chill ran down my spine. I had thought I had escaped Kale, but the vision told me otherwise. The blood moon did not lie. It did not forgive. I inhaled deeply, feeling the wolf stir stronger, fiercer. This is real, I whispered. This is me. The whispers continued, guiding me deeper into the canyon. Each step carried me further from fear and closer to understanding. I realized that Kale's betrayal, my sister's treachery, the pack's abandonment, it had all been the crucible I needed. Pain and heartbreak had forged me into something stronger, sharper, alive. Suddenly, the ground beneath me trembled. A shadow moved in the mist, not a wolf, not human. Something ancient, powerful. I crouched low, eyes narrowing. The wolf inside me roared, sensing danger, sensing a test. From the shadows emerged a figure cloaked in darkness, its eyes glowing faint red. It moved with a grace that was unnatural, silent yet terrifying. The blood moon's light reflected off its form, highlighting the contours of muscles honed for speed and death. You are the little Luna, it said, voice like gravel and ice, discarded by the Alpha, wandering alone, unprotected. I stood taller, feeling the wolf rise, muscles coiling, senses sharp. I survived, I said firmly. Alone. Without him. Without anyone. I survive because I am strong. The creature circled me, assessing, testing, dangerous. Strength alone is meaningless, it said. The blood moon sees the spirit, the heart, the will. If you do not awaken, you will perish. I clenched my fists, refusing to falter. I will awaken, I said. My wolf will rise, and I will survive. The creature halted, tilting its head, eyes locking with mine. You speak with fire, little Luna. Fire is necessary, but discipline must temper it. Learn control, or it will destroy you before the world can see your power. The moonlight shifted, turning redder, casting everything in a surreal, haunting glow. I felt the blood moon's energy pour over me, searing yet invigorating, awakening something deep within. My wolf howled inside me, responding to the call, stretching and flexing muscles I had never fully realized I possessed. Visions came again, fleeting images of battles, allies, enemies, and Kale standing over the pack lands, unaware of the transformation occurring far from his gaze. I saw power, possibility, danger, and destiny intertwined. Then the creature spoke again, softer, almost a whisper. Follow the northern wind. Seek the pack that waits beyond the mountains. There, you will find guidance, allies, and the truth of your strength. Fail, and the blood moon will claim you. The wind shifted, carrying the faint scent of pine and ice, guiding me in the direction I needed to go. The creature receded into shad. Ow, fading like a mirage, leaving only the echo of its warning. I sank to the ground, exhausted but awake, every nerve alive. The blood moon hung above, crimson and merciless, yet illuminating my path. Pain, heartbreak, betrayal, it was all still there, etched into my flesh and spirit. But beneath it all, the wolf inside me stretched, alive, awakened, ready. I whispered into the wind, voice steady despite the fear and uncertainty. I will survive, I will rise, I will reclaim what is mine, and I will not be broken again. The blood moon bathed the canyon in red, a silent witness to my vow. And in that light, I understood, the journey had only begun. Somewhere beyond the mountains, the northern wind awaited. And so did my destiny. I stood, shaking, bleeding, heart-pounding, wolf howling inside me. The night had tested me. The blood moon had spoken. And I was ready to answer. End of Chapter 6. Whispers of the Blood Moon, approximately 1,700 words. Arya is now fully on the path of awakening. Prophecy, new allies, and supernatural power start shaping her journey. Chapter 7. The northern wind calls dawn broke with a muted glow, pale light creeping across the forest canopy. The blood moon had disappeared, leaving only lingering echoes of its crimson energy. I stood at the edge of the canyon, muscles aching, cuts and bruises marking my body, yet inside, something had changed. My wolf stirred, strong, alive, awake. The northern wind called to me. It wasn't a sound, not a voice, not a whisper. It was a pull, subtle yet undeniable, threading through the forest, carrying scents of pine, frost, and distant mountains. It promised direction, promise, and danger. I exhaled slowly, feeling the chill of it against my skin, letting it guide me forward. Kale was a ghost I could no longer chase. My sister's laughter haunted the edges of my mind, but I refused to let it anchor me. The pack, the betrayal, the mark burned into my neck, all reminders of the life I had left behind. I wasn't running anymore. I was walking towards something new, something mine to claim. The path through the forest was treacherous. Roots twisted like serpents underfoot, streams cut across the earth, and shadows shifted like predators. But I moved with precision now. Every step measured, every breath controlled. My senses, honed through nights of survival and the awakening under the blood moon, guided me. I was no longer just Arya, the discarded Luna. I was Arya, the wolf in waiting, growing stronger with each passing moment. Hours passed. The sun rose higher, golden beams filtering through the branches. I paused near a clearing, crouching beside a stream to drink and wash the grime of my journey from my face. Water ran cold and pure over my hands, and I felt the pulse of Leaf. In it, a reminder that I was still alive, still breathing, still fighting. Still moving forward. The northern wind shifted, carrying something unfamiliar, the scent of another pack. Not Kale's, not hostile, different, strong, organized. It made my heart race. Could they be the ones the stranger had mentioned? The pack beyond the mountains, waiting to guide me? I followed the scent carefully, moving through the underbrush with my wolf alert and coiled like a spring. Each movement was precise. Each rustle and snap of twigs could mean danger. But I pressed forward, guided by instinct, by the wind, and by a fire inside me I had never known before. By late afternoon, I reached a ridge overlooking a valley. Below, a pack moved with discipline and purpose. I watched in awe, wolves running together, hunting, guarding, living as one. It was beautiful, powerful, complete, and yet there was something missing. The Luna. I realized then that my path was clear. To join them, to learn from them, to claim my strength and awaken fully, I had to prove myself. Not to Kale, not to my past, but to myself. I descended carefully, keeping to the shadows. The pack noticed me immediately. Wolves froze mid-step, ears twitching, eyes sharp. The alpha emerged first, tall, silver-furred, amber eyes piercing through the distance. "You are far from your home," he said, voice carrying authority and caution. "State your name and purpose." I straightened, drawing on the strength within me. "I am Arya," I said, voice steady despite the pounding of my heart. "I seek guidance, training, and purpose. I have survived the night, the forest, and betrayal. I am no one's Luna now, but I can serve your pack, if you allow me." The alpha studied me in silence. I felt the scrutiny like a physical weight, sensing his wolf probing mine, assessing my instincts, my strength, my spirit. Finally, he spoke. "You are bold," he said. "And raw. Strength alone will not sustain you, but the wolf within you senses power. You may join us, on one condition." I held my breath, waiting. "You will prove yourself," he continued. "Through hunting, endurance, and discipline. Failure will not be tolerated. Survival is only the beginning. Are you prepared to rise or fall by your own strength?" "I am prepared," I said firmly, feeling my wolf growl in agreement inside me. The alpha nodded once, sharp and deliberate. "Then follow me. The pack will test you. Learn quickly, or you will remain prey." Over the next days, I learned the rhythm of this new pack. Every hunt demanded precision. Every challenge required strategy. Every interaction tested patience and courage. But unlike Kale's pack, this one had structure, loyalty, and guidance. I began to feel something I hadn't felt since my Hildhood. Belonging. Not romantic. Not tied to a mate. But to a purpose. I learned to move as one with the pack. To anticipate the prey, to communicate silently, to sense danger before it arrived. The wolf inside me responded, coiling, leaping, striking, blending instinct with growing control. Yet, even as I trained, my mind remained aware. Kale's shadow lingered, a reminder of betrayal, loss, and unfinished business. And the blood moon's warning echoed in my mind. Awaken fully, or be consumed. One evening, after a grueling day of hunts and drills, I found myself on a ridge overlooking the valley. The northern wind carried scents of mountains, frost, and distant forests. It whispered through the leaves, urging me forward, reminding me that my journey had only just begun. I pressed my hands to the cold earth, feeling it solid beneath me. The wolf inside me stretched, tested, and flexed muscles I hadn't known I had. Strength and purpose surged through me like fire, hot and consuming. I whispered into the wind, voice steady despite exhaustion. "I will rise. I will awaken. And I will reclaim what is mine." The alpha approached silently, placing a heavy paw beside mine, a sign of trust, respect, and the beginning of guidance. "You are learning," he said quietly. "But the path ahead will test you in ways you cannot yet imagine. Danger is not just outside, it comes from within. Master your wolf, master yourself, and you will endure." I nodded, understanding. The northern wind called, the blood moon had witnessed, and my journey was moving forward. For the first time, I did not feel weak, discarded, or broken. I was alive. I was learning. I was awakening, and the northern wind promised that greater challenges awaited. Chapter 8. Trials of the Northern Pack. The morning air was sharp with frost, biting at my skin and sending shivers down my spine. I had spent the night beneath the roots of an ancient pine, listening to the northern wind whisper through the mountains, carrying promises, warnings, and direction. It tugged at something deep inside me, urging me forward, reminding me that my journey was only beginning. The Alpha approached at first light, his fur gleaming silver in the soft glow of dawn. "You awake, little wolf?" he asked, voice low but commanding. "Yes," I replied, forcing myself to rise despite the ache in my legs. "Today, you face your first trials. Strength, speed, instinct, and cunning will be tested. Failure is not an option." I nodded, heart hammering. My wolf stirred inside me, muscles coiling, senses sharp. The trials would not just measure my physical strength, they would test my spirit, my mind, and the fire burning within me. The first trial began at the edge of the ridge. A series of obstacles awaited: fallen trees, icy streams, jagged rocks, and hidden pitfalls. The Alpha observed silently as I moved through each challenge, my body aching, sweat and blood mingling on my skin. Every leap, every roll, every climb demanded precision and instinct. The forest seemed alive, testing me at every turn. Branches clawed at my face. Roots tried to ensnare me. But my wolf guided me, instincts sharpening, senses alert, body responding faster than thought. I was learning to become more than Arya. I was learning to be a wolf in human skin. By midday, the first trial ended. Exhausted, I stumbled to a rocky clearing, breathing hard, muscles trembling, wolf growling in triumph and fatigue. The Alpha approached, amber eyes scrutinizing every movement. "You are fast," he said, "but speed without awareness is meaningless. You must see beyond what is visible, sense what is hidden." The second trial tested exactly that. He led me to a dense grove, shadows thick, light barely touching the ground. Hidden within were creatures, predators, real and dangerous, ready to strike. The goal was simple: navigate the grove and return without being caught. Simple in theory, deadly in practice. I crouched low, every nerve taut, every sense stretched to its limit. I could feel the wolf inside me sharpen, muscles coiling, heartbeat syncing with the forest's rhythm. One misstep, one wrong scent, one sound, and the predators would strike. Branches snapped, leaves rustled, a low growl echoed in the darkness. I froze, then pivoted, moving silently, using shadows to my advantage. A wolf lunged from the darkness, and instinct took over. I dodged, twisted, and leapt onto a fallen tree, balancing on the slick surface with wolf-like precision. I heard the Alpha's voice in my mind, guiding me without speaking: "See beyond. Trust the wolf. Move with purpose." Hour after hour, I maneuvered through the grove, every nerve on fire, every breath measured, every heartbeat synchronized with the rhythm of predator and prey. The sun dipped low, painting the grove in gold and shadow, and I finally emerged, breathing heavily, bloodied, but alive. The Alpha's gaze met mine. "You survived," he said, tone flat but approving. "Few do, but survival is only the beginning. Your instincts are strong. Your wolf is awakening. But strength alone will not carry you through the next trials." The third trial began at dusk. It was a test of courage, endurance, and cunning. I was sent alone into a canyon shrouded in mist, where the northern wind whispered secrets of unseen threats. Predators, traps, illusions, all designed to test not just my body, but my mind and spirit. I stepped into the mist, heart pounding, senses alive. The forest seemed different here, more alive, more dangerous. Shadows moved, whispering threats, testing my courage. The northern wind pushed me forward, its chill urging me to rise above fear. A shadow lunged from the mist, a predator unlike any I had faced before. Fangs glinting, eyes glowing red, it moved with unnatural speed. My wolf howled inside me, muscles coiling, instincts firing. I dodged, struck, and maneuvered with precision, every movement guided by the fire burning inside me. Hours passed, or maybe minutes, time lost meaning in the mist. Every step, every breath, every heartbeat became a trial of endurance. I fell, rose, stumbled, and ran, never yielding, never surrendering. The wolf inside me surged, responding to danger, growing stronger with every strike and dodge. By midnight, I reached the canyon's edge. Exhausted, bleeding, and trembling, I raised my head to the sky. The northern wind swept over me, carrying scents of mountains, frost, and distant forests. It whispered approval, promise, and challenge. I had survived. I had faced the trials of strength, speed, instinct, and courage. But I was not yet complete. The Alpha appeared beside me, silent as the mist. "You have endured what most could not," he said, amber eyes glinting in the moonlight. But trials are not merely to test the body. They test the spirit. Your wolf has awakened, but you must master control. Your heart, your mind, and your instincts must align, or even the strongest will fall. I nodded, exhaustion and determination mingling in equal measure. "I understand," I said, voice hoarse but firm. "My wolf is alive. My strength is growing, and I will not fall." The northern wind carried whispers, faint but clear. "Rise. Awaken. Claim your path." I pressed my hands to the cold, rocky ground, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath me. I could feel my wolf stretching, flexing, alive. Strength, courage, and instinct flowed through me like fire. For the first time, I understood the truth of the stranger's words. Survival was only the beginning. Power, control, and awakening were the path. And I would walk it, no matter how dangerous, no matter how long, no matter how much I bled. The trials had tested me. The northern wind had guided me. The wolf inside me had risen. And I was ready. Chapter 9. Echoes of Kale. The northern wind carried more than scents of mountains and frost that day. It carried something darker, heavier, a tension that pressed against my chest even before I saw him. Kale. I didn't know how he had found the trail, or if it was fate that drew our paths so close. All I knew was the unmistakable weight of his presence, even miles away. The forest seemed to hold its breath as if sensing the storm about to break. I had trained, run, hunted, and survived. The wolf inside me had awakened, muscles coiled, senses sharper than ever. I was no longer the discarded Luna he had thrown aside. But the memory of his betrayal lingered, raw, gnawing at my heart. I stopped at the edge of a ridge, the wind pulling at my hair, carrying distant scents. And then I saw him. Kale stood across the valley, strong, commanding, his silver fur gleaming faintly in the sunlight. His amber eyes scanned the land as though searching for prey, for a challenge for me. A fire ignited within me, equal parts rage and determination. I had survived without him, grown without him, risen above the pain he had left behind. And now, I would show him what he had discarded. The northern wind tugged insistently, guiding me forward, urging me to rise. I moved through the forest, silent, deliberate, wolf senses attuned to every leaf, every shadow, every sound. Kale's pack was near, a constant reminder that my past would not let me forget him. Hours passed. I followed the ridge, keeping distance, testing my limits, letting the wolf inside me guide my movements. My muscles ached, my lungs burned, but fear no longer controlled me. Anger, determination, and survival coursed through my veins. Then I saw them, Kale's hunters, moving silently through the forest, scanning for signs of life, of prey. And I realized, he didn't know I had survived. He didn't know I was stronger. Stronger than he ever imagined. I crouched behind a tree, watching, heart pounding. The wolf inside me twitched, sensing danger, sensing opportunity. I could strike. I could attack. But instinct, tempered by training, told me to wait, to observe, to plan. Kale's voice echoed in my mind, a ghost I could not escape. She's stronger. More fit to be my Luna. I closed my eyes, tasting the bitterness of betrayal. The memory of my sister's laughter. The weight of my pack's abandonment. And I realized something. My past did not define me. Kale did not control me. My wolf did. The northern wind whispered through the trees, guiding me, carrying warnings and promise. I moved silently, circling around Kale's hunters, testing my strength, my agility, my control. Every movement precise, every breath measured, every heartbeat in sync with the wolf inside me. By nightfall, I had made my way closer. Kale sat atop a ridge, unaware of my presence, his posture relaxed but commanding. I watched him, studying him, noting every movement, every flicker of emotion he tried to hide. He was strong, yes, but predictable, arrogant, blind to the growth he had forced me to undergo. The northern wind howled, carrying my scent toward him. I could feel my wolf bristle, muscles coiling, senses sharp. I was ready to strike, not to kill, not to attack blindly, but to remind him that I was no longer the girl he had discarded. I was alive, power, full and awake. Suddenly, Kale's head snapped toward me, eyes narrowing. He had sensed me, not yet seen me, but sensed my strength, my presence, my rising power. A thrill of anticipation surged through me. The moment I had trained for, survived for, grown for, it was near. The confrontation, the reckoning, the undeniable truth of who I had become, it was coming. But I did not move yet. Patience, observation, control. Kale stood, pacing slowly, alert but cautious. His instincts told him something was wrong, that someone had survived beyond his expectation. And I smiled faintly, wolf growling softly in agreement. This was my time, not yet to fight, but to prepare. To show Kale that the discarded Luna he had mocked, betrayed, and abandoned was no longer weak. The northern wind swept through the ridge, carrying my scent, my strength, my resolve. Kale paused, scanning the forest again, unaware that his past was alive, awake, and rising against him. I took a deep breath, feeling the wolf stretch, muscles coiling, senses sharp. The trials, the northern pack, the blood moon, it had all led to this. I was ready. The echoes of Kale's past arrogance would soon meet the power of my awakened wolf. And the northern wind promised one truth: survival was not enough. I would rise. I would reclaim what was mine. Chapter 10. The shadow hunt begins. The night was heavy with anticipation. Mist curled around the trees, and the northern wind carried whispers of danger, warning me that Kale's presence was closer than I had imagined. I crouched atop a ridge, muscles coiled, wolf growling softly inside me, senses on high alert. The forest below was alive with movement. Shadows flickered, branches snapped under the weight of something, or someone. And then I saw them. Hunters. Kale's pack, moving silently through the underbrush. Their amber eyes glinted in the faint moonlight. Predators on the hunt. And I was the prey. My wolf surged within me, coiling muscles, sharpened instincts, heart pounding. I had trained for this. Survived the trials. Learned from the northern pack. But nothing could erase the tension that gripped me as I watched them advance. The northern wind tugged insistently, guiding me to higher ground, safer vantage points. I followed its pull, blending with shadows, moving with precision and purpose. Every leaf, every twig, every sound became a signal, a warning, a guide, a weapon. Kale's hunters paused, sniffing the air, their ears swiveling toward my scent. I froze, still, silent, my pulse steady despite the adrenaline surging through me. The wolf inside me snarled, muscles ready to strike, instincts alert. I could feel the thrill of the hunt, the danger, the fire in my veins. Then I struck. I leapt from the shadows, striking the first hunter with precision, claws and teeth working in tandem with instincts honed over months of training. He yelped, stumbling back into the underbrush, and the others reacted immediately. But I was already gone, moving like wind, blending with the night, unseen but ever present. They scattered, calling warnings, alerting Kale's pack to my presence. But I was ready. This was not just a test of strength, but of strategy, patience, and cunning. The northern wind guided me, carrying scents, sounds, and subtle cues that turned the forest into my ally. Hours passed in a blur of movement, shadows, and whispers. I used the terrain, leapt across streams, ducked beneath fallen logs, and vanished among the trees. The wolf inside me roared in triumph, sensing the thrill of the hunt, the danger, and the power that surged with every heartbeat. Kale's voice echoed faintly in my mind, carried by the wind or perhaps a memory. She survives. Too strong, too clever, too dangerous. A chill ran down my spine. Even distant, even unaware of my full strength, Kale recognized the threat. And that knowledge fueled me. Not fear, not doubt, but fire. By midnight, I had led the hunters away from the ridge, deeper into terrain I knew better than they could imagine. I used shadows, scents, and instinct, turning their own tactics against them. And when I struck again, it was precise, a warning, not death, a demonstration of the power I had earned. The northern wind howled around me, carrying approval, promise, and guidance. I felt my wolf stretch and flex, alive, powerful, awake. This was more than survival. This was mastery of instinct, strategy, and courage. Finally, the forest fell silent. Kale's hunters had retreated, their pride wounded, their confidence shaken. I stood atop the ridge, chest heaving, fur and sweat mingling, claws bloodied but spirit untamed. The wolf inside me purred with satisfaction, coiled and alert, ready for whatever came next. And I knew, Kale had noticed. He would come, soon. The northern wind whispered through the trees, guiding me toward the mountains beyond, toward the pack that awaited my arrival, toward the destiny I was forging step by step. I pressed my hands to the earth, feeling its pulse beneath me, grounding myself in the power of survival, of fire, of awakening. The shadow hunt had begun, and I would not falter. I whispered into the night, voice steady and strong, "You thought I was broken. You thought I was lost. But the wolf inside me has risen, and I am ready." Above, the moon shone silver and watchful. The wind carried my vow across the forest, across mountains, across the distance to Kale. The discarded Luna was no longer weak. I was alive. I was powerful. I was Arya, and the shadow hunt was only the beginning. Chapter 11. The Alpha Confrontation. The night was alive with tension. The northern wind cut through the trees like a blade, carrying scents of frost, pine, and danger. I crouched atop a ridge, senses coiled, wolf alert, every nerve humming with anticipation. Kale's presence was near. I could feel it before I saw him, the heat of his power, the sharpness of his instincts, the weight of command that had once crushed me. But I was no longer the broken Luna he had discarded. I was alive, awake, powerful. The forest below was still, the shadows thick and watchful. Kale moved like a predator, silent, deliberate, his amber eyes scanning every tree, every shadow, every sound. And then I saw him clearly, standing tall, commanding, confident, unaware of how much I had grown. My wolf stirred inside me, muscles coiling, senses sharper than ever. I could feel the power building in my limbs, in my instincts, in the core of my being. This confrontation would not just test my courage, it would test my strategy, my mind, my heart. I stepped from the shadows, deliberately visible but unthreatening. Kale's head snapped toward me, eyes narrowing, recognition and surprise flashing across his face. You, he breathed, voice low, almost disbelief. You survived. I did, I said, voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through me. And I have grown stronger. Stronger than you ever imagined. He studied me, every movement, every breath, every flicker of instinct I could not hide. You have changed, he said finally, voice low, commanding, edged with something I had not expected, respect. Not enough, but different, dangerous. A shiver of satisfaction ran through me. I had survived the forest, the trials, the blood moon, and Kale's hunters. I had awakened my wolf. And now, I was no longer afraid of him. Kale stepped forward, slow, deliberate, every muscle controlled, every sense alert. You were mine. You belonged to me. And yet, here you are, defiant. Belong? I repeated, disbelief and fury rising in equal measure. You don't get to claim me. Not anymore. Not after everything. His jaw tightened, a flash of anger crossing his features. You were my Luna, my mate. You were meant to be mine. And you abandoned me, I said sharply. You discarded me like I meant nothing. And you thought that would destroy me. Kale's eyes flickered, a mixture of surprise and, perhaps, regret. But I did not wait for him to recover his composure. The northern wind tugged at me, guiding my instincts, sharpening my focus. You should have known, I whispered, wolf growling low in my chest, that the wolf inside me does not break so easily. He moved suddenly, testing, circling, predator and prey dancing in the moonlight. But I was ready. Every try, every hunt, every night in the forest had prepared me. I dodged, struck, and maneuvered with precision, instincts and strength perfectly aligned. Kale's eyes widened slightly, sensing my growth, feeling the power I had gained. You are stronger, he said, voice tight. Stronger than I imagined. I smiled faintly, wolf roaring softly inside me, muscles coiled, senses sharp. You underestimated me, I said. Just like everyone else. But I survived. I adapted. I rose. He paused, studying me, a mixture of frustration, admiration, and something else, something I did not fully understand. You survived without me, he said slowly, voice edged with tension. Yes, I replied firmly. And I thrived. I am not yours. Not ever again. The northern wind swirled around us, carrying scents, whispers, and a promise. The confrontation was only the beginning. Kale took a step back, measuring, reassessing. You have grown, he said finally. But this is only the beginning. The true test is yet to come. You will not survive unchallenged. I felt a thrill surge through me. Danger, challenge, power, it was exactly what I needed. You underestimate me, I said, low and steady. My wolf has awakened. My strength is mine, and I will not falter. Kale's eyes narrowed, his posture tense. You are different, he admitted, almost grudgingly. And that is dangerous. I held his gaze, steady, unwavering. You taught me betrayal, I whispered, voice calm but fierce. You abandoned me, humiliated me, discarded me. But you never taught me weakness. And you never taught me fear. The wind howled, carrying our scents, our presence, across the ridge. The forest watched in silence. The moon shone above, casting silver light on the confrontation between past and present, weakness and strength, discarded and awakened. Kale's wolf growled low, sensing the tension, the power rising in me. Mine responded in kind, muscles coiling, instincts sharp, spirit alive. We circled each other, predator and prey, alpha and former Luna, both aware that this confrontation would change everything. You will not survive easily, Kale said finally, voice low, dangerous. I will challenge you at every turn, test your strength, your mind, your spirit. But you have risen far beyond my expectations. I smiled, wolf growling softly, senses alive. I am not here to survive, I said, voice firm, unwavering. I am here to rise, to awaken, to claim what is mine. And you will see, I am no longer the girl you discarded. I am Arya. The wolf inside me is awake. And I will not falter. Kale studied me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he stepped back, bowing his head slightly in acknowledgement. This is only the beginning, he said. And yet, you are stronger, And I imagined. The northern wind whispered through the ridge, carrying promise, warning, and the fire of destiny. I pressed my hands to the earth, feeling the pulse of life beneath me, grounding myself in power, courage, and instinct. The wolf inside me stretched, alive, awake, ready for whatever challenge lay ahead. And in that moment, I knew, the alpha confrontation was not the end. It was the spark that would ignite everything to come. I was ready. Chapter 12, Allies in the Shadows. The forest was alive with whispers. The northern wind carried scents of pine, frost, and distant mountains, but also something else, something subtle, hidden, promising. I moved cautiously, senses sharp, wolf coiled and ready. Kale was aware of me now, and his shadow lingered over every step I took. I needed allies. Strength alone was not enough. I had survived, awakened, and confronted Kale, but the path ahead would demand more: strategy, numbers, guidance. I could not face him alone. The northern wind tugged insistently, guiding me through dense underbrush and misty valleys. I followed its pull, heart steady, instincts sharp, wolf alive and alert. Every step brought me closer to what the stranger had promised: guidance, allies, the path to mastery. By late afternoon, I reached a hidden glade, shielded from the forest by thick vines and ancient trees. There, I found them, a small group of wolves, fierce, disciplined, yet wary. They were not part of Kale's pack. Not yet. They were hunters, warriors, survivors, outcasts like me, yet strong and proud. I stepped into the glade slowly, hands raised in peace, wolf growling softly in warning. The leader, a silver-furred wolf with amber eyes, stepped forward. You are far from your home, he said, voice low and commanding. State your purpose. I am Arya, I said, voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through me. I have survived. I have awakened. I seek allies, guidance, and the strength to rise. I do not come to challenge you, but to offer loyalty, skill, and purpose, if you will accept me. The leader studied me, amber eyes sharp, sensing the wolf inside me, the fire, the strength, the determination. You are bold, he said finally. Many have come here seeking refuge, but few prove themselves worthy. I will prove myself, I said firmly. Not by words, but by action, instinct, and loyalty. I am no longer the girl discarded by Kale. I am Arya. My wolf has awakened. And I will fight for what is mine. A tense silence followed. Then the leader nodded slowly. Very well. You will train with us. Hunt with us. Survive with us. And perhaps, in time, you will earn our trust fully. I exhaled, tension easing slightly. Allies. Real allies. Strength in numbers, guidance, and shared instinct. The next days passed in a blur of training, strategy, and bonding. I learned their ways, hunting silently, striking with precision, moving as one. I tested my skills against theirs, refining instincts, mastering speed and strength, learning patience and cunning. The wolf inside me thrived, muscles coiling, senses sharp, mind clear. Every lesson, every hunt, every challenge made me stronger, more focused, more aware of my own power. But even as I trained, the shadow of Kale loomed. The northern wind whispered of his awareness, of his pride wounded, of his desire to reclaim what he had lost. And I knew that soon, the confrontation would come again, higher stakes, deadlier tactics, and the true test of my awakening. One evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the glade in gold and shadow, the leader approached me. You have potential, he said quietly, amber eyes meeting mine. But potential alone does not make an alpha. You must learn strategy, diplomacy, and the strength to inspire loyalty. Your wolf is strong, but the path ahead will demand more than instinct and courage. Are you ready? I nodded, feeling the wolf stir inside me, muscles coiling, senses alive. I am ready, I said. My wolf is awake. My heart is ready, and I will rise to meet whatever challenge comes. The northern wind swirled through the glade, carrying scents of mountains, frost, and distant forests. It whispered approval, promise, and warning. And I knew the path forward was dangerous, but I was no longer alone. I had allies. I had guidance. I had power. The night deepened, shadows lengthened, and I felt the weight of destiny pressing down. Kale was aware of me. The northern pack had accepted me. And the blood moon had witnessed my awakening. I pressed my hands to the earth, feeling its pulse beneath me, grounding myself in strength, courage, and purpose. The wolf inside me stretched, alive, awake, ready for what was to come. And as the northern wind whispered through the trees, I made my vow. I will rise. I will awaken. I will reclaim what is mine. And when the time comes, Kale will see that the discarded Luna is no longer weak, no longer afraid, and no longer his to command. The shadows of the glade watched silently. The northern wind carried my promise across mountains and forests. And I knew, the next chapter of this journey, the first major battle, was approaching. I was ready. My allies were ready. The wolf inside me was ready. And together, we would face whatever darkness Kale brought into our path. Chapter 13. The blood moon rising. The night was electric, charged with anticipation. The blood moon rose slowly, crimson and full, casting everything in a haunting, ethereal glow. Its light spilled across the northern forests, painting shadows sharp and alive. I stood atop a ridge, chest heaving, eyes scanning the valley below. The northern wind tugged insistently, carrying whispers of warning, promise, and power. Kale's forces were moving. I could feel them, the subtle shift in the air, the tension in the trees, the distant scent of predators approaching. This was no ordinary hunt. The blood moon had awakened something deeper, older, primal. The whispers I had felt before during my awakening returned, more urgent, more insistent. The northern pack gathered beside me, silent, disciplined, ready. We had trained, honed our instincts, sharpened every skill, and yet I could feel the weight of what was to come pressing down. The wolf inside me coiled, muscles tense, senses screaming, heart pounding. This was it, the first real test against Kale. I scanned the valley. Shadows moved with precision, coordination. Kale's hunters, his loyal wolves, the remnants of his pride. I felt a surge of anger and determination. He had underestimated me. He had discarded me. He had thought I would remain broken. The northern wind whispered around me, tugging at my hair, carrying scents of frost, pine, and distant earth. It urged me forward. Strike. Lead. Awaken fully, it seemed to say. I turned to my allies, amber eyes gleaming with resolve. Tonight, I said, voice steady but fierce, we face them. We fight together, as one. They may think I am alone, weak, discarded, but they are wrong. The wolf inside me is awake. And we will not falter. A low growl rose from the pack behind me. Muscles coiled, teeth bared, eyes glowing with anticipation. We were ready. The first wave of Kale's hunters emerged from the shadows. I struck with precision, moving like the wind, dodging, weaving, claws and teeth acting in perfect coordination with instincts honed over months. The northern wind guided me, carrying whispers of strategy, cues, and subtle signals. I felt the blood moon's energy surge through me, burning, awakening, sharpening every sense. Kale's voice echoed faintly in my mind, carried by the wind or perhaps a memory. She survives, she fights, she is stronger than I imagined. I ignored him, focusing on the battle, the rhythm of combat, the pulse of the forest and the wolves beside me. Every hunter who approached was met with strategy, skill, and precision. We moved as one, coordinated, silent, deadly. Hours passed in a blur of shadows, strikes, dodges, and relentless pursuit. The blood moon cast crimson light over every movement, illuminating danger and strategy alike. The northern wind carried guidance, warning, and power. The wolf inside me roared, muscles coiling, instincts alive and perfect. Then I saw him. Kale stepped into the clearing, commanding, powerful, a predator aware of his dominance. His amber eyes locked on mine, fire and tension burning in their depths. "You," he said, voice low, dangerous. "You have grown, stronger, alive?" "Yes," I said, voice steady, heart pounding, wolf growling softly inside me. "And I have allies. I have power. I have risen beyond your reach." He circled slowly, eyes never leaving mine, assessing, testing. "You were mine. You were meant to be mine. And yet, I am not yours," I interrupted, voice calm but fierce. "Not now. Not ever." The blood moon's light intensified, bathing the clearing in crimson brilliance. Its energy surged through me, sharpening every instinct, every reflex, every heartbeat. I felt the prophecy's weight, the whisper of power, the pull of destiny, the promise that this night would mark the rise of something unstoppable. Kale's wolves surged forward, loyal, aggressive, coordinated. But the northern pack met them with precision, discipline, and unity. I moved through the battlefield, senses alive, instincts guiding me, wolf coiling and striking with lethal grace. Every movement was deliberate, every strike measured, every breath controlled. Kale's gaze followed me, amber eyes narrowing, sensing the power I wielded, the control I had over my wolf, the alliance I had forged. "This cannot be," he muttered, almost to himself. "You were weak. You were discarded. How did you rise?" I answered with action. Leaping, striking, dodging, weaving, the battlefield became my domain. The wolf inside me roared, muscles coiling, senses sharp. The northern wind carried my presence, my power, my command. Hours blurred into a symphony of movement, strategy, and instinct. The hunters faltered, some retreating, some captured in traps we had laid beforehand. Kale's expression darkened, frustration simmering beneath the surface. But he did not retreat. He advanced, circling, calculating, waiting for an opening, for a weakness. And I was ready. I had trained for this. I had awakened fully under the blood moon. I had allies, strategy, and the fire of survival burning in my veins. The northern wind whispered through the trees, "Rise fully. Claim your power. Awaken completely." I pressed my hands to the earth, feeling its pulse, grounding myself in strength, courage, and instinct. The wolf inside me stretched, alive, awake, ready to face whatever Kale brought. The blood moon watched, witness to the awakening of the Luna who had been discarded, betrayed, and left to survive alone. And I knew, the night would not end without a reckoning. Kale and I would face each other fully, the battle of past and present, of power and instinct, of discarded and awakened. And I would rise. Chapter 14. The reckoning. The night was still, heavy with the weight of expectation. The blood moon hung low, crimson and haunting, casting a surreal glow over the forest clearing. Every shadow seemed alive, every rustle a whisper of danger. I crouched behind a fallen tree, muscles coiled, wolf alive and ready, senses sharp beyond anything I had known before. Kale's presence pressed against the night like a shadow of power. I could feel his anger, his pride, his disbelief that I had survived, grown, and awakened. He had underestimated me, he had discarded me, and now the reckoning had come. The northern wind whispered through the trees, carrying promise, warning, and fire. It tugged insistently, guiding my instincts, sharpening my focus. I rose slowly, letting the wolf inside me stretch and coiled like a spring, senses alert, heart pounding. Every breath, every heartbeat, every movement was in sync with the forest, the wind, and my awakening. Kale stepped into the clearing, commanding, every movement precise, every muscle controlled, every sense alert. "You," he said, amber eyes locked on mine, voice low, dangerous. "You have grown stronger, alive." "How?" "I survived," I said, voice steady, fierce, unwavering. "I learned. I awakened. I am no longer yours, Kale. Not now. Not ever." He circled slowly, predator and alpha, measuring, calculating. "You were my Luna. You belonged to me. And yet, you lost that right the moment you betrayed me," I interrupted, voice calm but fierce. "You discarded me, humiliated me, and thought that would destroy me. But I am alive. I am stronger. And I am free." Kale's eyes narrowed, amber fire burning within. You are different," he admitted, almost grudgingly. "And dangerous." The northern wind swirled around us, carrying scents of frost, pine, and distant mountains. It carried whispers of the blood moon's prophecy, the promise of awakening, the warning that this confrontation would change everything. Without warning, Kale lunged. His speed, precision, and power were overwhelming, but I was ready. The wolf inside me surged, coiling, striking, weaving. Every dodge, every counter, every leap was guided by instinct, strategy, and the fire of survival burning in my veins. The clash was intense, a dance of predator and prey, strength and skill, instinct and strategy. Kale's strikes were powerful, calculated, relentless. But I moved with purpose, blending the lessons of the northern pack, the guidance of the wind, and the awakening of my wolf. I was no longer the girl discarded. I was a force, alive, awake, unstoppable. The northern wind carried our movements, guiding me, warning me, lending strength. I could feel every muscle in my body responding perfectly, every sense heightened, every instinct sharp. Kale's frustration grew as he realized he had underestimated me completely. I cannot believe," he muttered through gritted teeth. "You should have," I said softly, heart pounding, wolf growling low in my chest. "You thought I was weak. You thought I would break. But the wolf inside me has awakened. And I will not falter." We clashed again, amber eyes locking, breaths heavy, muscles straining. The forest seemed to hold its breath, shadows stretching, the blood moon's crimson light casting everything in surreal clarity. Every strike I made was precise, every dodge calculated, every move controlled by instinct and fire. Hours passed, the confrontation ebbing and flowing like a tide of power and strategy. Kale's strikes grew desperate, his control slipping as he realized my growth, my power, my unbreakable spirit. You are stronger," he admitted, voice low, almost a whisper of disbelief. "Yes," I said, voice steady, fierce, unwavering. "And I am no longer yours. Not now. Not ever." The northern pack moved in unison, supporting me, striking Kale's hunters with precision, guarding, coordinating. Together, we were unstoppable. The northern wind carried our presence, our power, our command. The blood moon witnessed the rise of the Luna who had been discarded, betrayed, and left to survive alone. Kale lunged one final time, amber eyes blazing, determination burning. But I was ready. Every movement, every strike, every leap was perfect. The wolf inside me coiled, struck, and overpowered his advance. He stumbled, caught off guard, and I pressed forward with controlled strength and precision. Kale froze, chest heaving, amber eyes wide with disbelief and grudging respect. "You have risen beyond my reach," he admitted, voice low, dangerous. "You are no longer the girl I discarded. You are Arya," I said firmly, voice steady, unwavering. "The wolf inside me is awake. I am alive, and I will not be broken again." The northern wind howled, carrying my vow, my power, my awakening across the forest, across the mountains, across the distance to Kale's pack. The blood moon blazed crimson above, witness to the reckoning, witness to the rise of the Luna who would no longer be silenced, discarded, or controlled. Kale stepped back, tension in every muscle, frustration and respect mingling in his amber eyes. "This is only the beginning," he said, voice low, almost a whisper. "And yet, you are stronger than I imagined." I pressed my hands to the earth, grounding myself in strength, courage, and instinct. The wolf inside me stretched, alive, awake, ready for whatever lay ahead. The northern wind whispered through the trees, "Rise fully. Awaken completely. Claim what is yours." And I knew, the reckoning had ended, but the journey was far from over. Kale and I had clashed. I had proven my power, my independence, my awe. Kenning. And the blood moon had witnessed the rise of the Luna who would no longer bow, who would no longer be discarded. I was alive. I was powerful. I was Arya. And the path forward would only grow stronger, darker, and more dangerous. The forest fell silent, the northern wind still, the blood moon hanging like a witness above. And I knew, the final chapter, the ultimate awakening, awaited. Chapter 15. The Luna ascends. The forest was bathed in the silver glow of dawn. The blood moon had set, leaving behind a quiet, lingering power in the air. Mist curled among the trees, and the northern wind carried whispers of triumph, promise, and awakening. I stood atop the ridge, eyes scanning the horizon, wolf alive and coiled, muscles tense with anticipation and pride. Kale had retreated after our reckoning. But the memory of his amber eyes, the weight of his disbelief, lingered. He had underestimated me, he had discarded me, and now he had witnessed my full awakening. The northern pack gathered around me, loyal, disciplined, and alert. They had seen the rise of the Luna, the fire in my veins, the wolf fully awakened. And they would stand by me, as allies, as family, as witnesses to the power I now claimed. I inhaled deeply, chest expanding, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath my feet, the northern wind brushing my face. The wolf inside me stretched, muscles coiling, senses sharp, spirit alive. This was the moment I had trained for, survived for, fought for. "Today," I said, voice steady, strong, carrying across the ridge, "we rise. Not as followers, not as survivors, but as wolves awakened. We claim our destiny, our power, and our path. And we will not falter." The northern wind howled in agreement, carrying my words across mountains, forests, and rivers. The pack growled low, a chorus of agreement, strength, and loyalty. I could feel the power of the blood moon lingering, surging through me, awakening the deepest instincts, sharpening my senses, igniting every fiber of my being. I was no longer the girl discarded, abandoned, or underestimated. I was Arya, the Luna, the wolf fully awakened. The trials, the hunts, the confrontations with Kale, they had all led to this. Every moment of fear, every heartbeat of anger, every surge of determination had built me, strengthened me, and prepared me for this rise. I closed my eyes briefly, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath me, the rhythm of the forest around me, the power of the wolf within. I could hear the echoes of every challenge overcome, every ally found, every instinct mastered. And I knew, I was ready to claim my place. The northern wind shifted, carrying scents of distant packs, potential threats, and the lingering presence of Kale. But I did not fear him. I had faced high, challenged him, and risen beyond his expectations. He had witnessed my strength, and now the world would too. I opened my eyes, amber and gold, reflecting the first light of dawn. The northern pack watched, their loyalty unwavering, their trust in me absolute. I raised my head, letting out a howl that echoed across valleys and mountains, carrying my presence, my power, my awakening to every corner of the northern forests. The howl was answered, faintly at first, then stronger, from distant wolves recognizing the rise of a true Luna. My chest swelled with pride, muscles coiled with energy, spirit soaring. The northern wind swirled around me, tugging, lifting, empowering. It whispered approval, promise, and challenge, A reminder that the path ahead would demand more, yet also that I was fully prepared. I felt Kale's presence in the distance, faint but undeniable. He had seen the rise, the transformation, the power I now commanded. But I did not fear him. I did not doubt myself. I had claimed what was mine, and the wolf within me would not allow weakness, fear, or hesitation. The northern pack stepped forward, surrounding me, their loyalty and strength a living testament to the bonds I had forged, the trust I had earned, and the power I now held. "I am Arya," I said, voice carrying over the ridge, steady, strong, alive. "The wolf inside me has awakened. I have survived. I have risen, and I claim my destiny, my power, and my place as Luna." The blood moon's energy had faded, but its mark remained in me, a lingering surge of instinct, power, and awakening that no force could diminish. Every heartbeat, every breath, every movement reminded me of what I had endured, what I had overcome, and what I had claimed. Kale might return, challenges might come, shadows might threaten, but I was ready. I was alive. I was strong. I was Arya, and the northern wind carried my vow across forests, mountains, and valleys. The Luna has risen. The wolf is awake, and she will not falter. I looked across the horizon, amber eyes reflecting dawn's light, wolf growling softly in approval, muscles coiled, spirit alive. The northern pack stood with me, loyal, disciplined, alive. We were ready. Together, we would face whatever came next, but the first victory was ours, the rise of the Luna fully awakened. The forest seemed to hum with life, shadows moving, wind whispering, trees bending slightly as if in respect. And I smiled faintly, wolf growling softly in agreement. The journey had been long, the trials fierce, the challenges relentless. But I had risen. I was Arya. I was Luna. I was the wolf awakened. And the northern forests, the mountains, and even Kale himself would never forget it.